Everybody, welcome.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, excited to have everybody with us. We've got some really exciting stuff to talk about today, but I know we have just flipped on live. We are on YouTube live. This is totally different for us, so if there's any technical challenges, issues, please bear with us. And of course, drop some comments. I already see a few coming in there. Hey, Aiden. Drop some comments. Let us know you are able to hear us okay, coming to us just fine, and we'll leave a little bit of time. I'll take maybe the first 60 seconds to let everybody drip in, but definitely let us know where you're coming from, where you're joining us, and yeah, we've got
it's exciting. It's exciting. First YouTube live. From Orlando, Florida.
That's right.
So,
and we were intentional. We wanted to do something special for some content that, for many folks, we assume some of these things you've never heard about. The importance of a topic like ranking, of course, is in the top of your mind. It's what you're really obsessing about. And we sort of knew that. We're sellers ourselves, right? We know this is what we obsess over. So we really want to kind of pierce the veil, share some insights from running 7 and 8 figure brands, being fortunate enough to be 7 and 8 figure earners. So really turning that success. And now with what we're doing with Seller.tools. So, and I know Brendan, he's working on a second 8 figure brand. So, there's some exciting things going on, and we want to share the insights from really being in the trenches with you guys in tonight's live and really sum up the factors. What goes into how to rank in 2019?
There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's just, a lot of it's the same misinformation as it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So we definitely want to clarify that.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Great. See some hellos coming in from, let's see, Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, wow.
Hi from St. Louis. Hi, Robin. Let me see if I can jump over. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to be jumping over to the chat to make sure I can catch. Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, close that off.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So, again, bear with us, guys. We're working through our first YouTube Live, doing something different. But I can see I get notifications here. So I saw a few of those hellos. Looks like from all over the world. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us, taking some time tonight to tackle this really fun subject with us. So let's see, maybe another 10, 15 seconds, and then let's jump right into what you guys are here for. You want to know how to rank in 2019. Hi from Hong Kong. Man, you guys are Melbourne, Florida. Hi, Dave. I've got family out in Melbourne, Florida. Wow, Desmond, yes. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's do it. I'm
awesome,
excited.
Guys. I've got my notes. I'm making sure I am crossing my T's, dotting my I's, and making sure we're covering everything that you guys want to hear and see from us.
Yep.
So let's jump right into it, guys. So first things first, really what we want to share and cover with you guys is a comprehensive guide, but really what you're looking for in terms of priorities when it comes to rank factors on Amazon. For those that have been selling for a few years now, this can often be a moving target, and it really requires from us as sellers to stay extremely tapped in. And so we were very intentional about adding in the 2019 element because that moving target really requires us to be on the top of our game, to know what's impacting the A9 algorithm, all the A10 talk and changes in the algorithm and all these anecdotal insights. And to a degree, I think we used to own that too as sellers, that you have anecdotal insights where you experience one thing and you extrapolate that to tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of sellers. And there's a lot of folks that are guilty of that. And I think that's what's really cool with what we're doing now at Seller.tools is we have so much data to back up the insights that we can remove the anecdotal shortcomings and really definitively say, this is what we're seeing at scale. Yep. I mean, I don't know if you would agree, Brendan, but that's been huge for me to really unpack and see things on a macro scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can see what happened, and then I can take those insights and honestly use them on my own business. And the same things that I use in Seller Tools are the same things I use on my business. So absolutely, it cuts the learning curve pretty much in half, if not more.
Yeah, absolutely. So really what we're going to be going over, and what I want to make sure we share as a preface, is that what we want to share is really the strategies, the factors, the key parts and pieces. And I'll share a few tactical insights throughout this presentation with you as well. But it's really the idea of kind of teaching a man to fish. Once you really understand these core concepts, you can go forward and really be empowered to make decisions in your business that will help you rank your product. If you've been frustrated, if you've only been winning a few keywords, and really only getting minimal visibility, that's really who we're speaking to, is those folks that are really struggling. And honestly, that's not a challenge that big and successful sellers are removed from. This is something that it's the plight of every Amazon seller and Amazon brand owner, and we want to empower you guys with that information.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So first things first, one of the first factors that I want to share with you guys when it comes to ranking your products on Amazon is the obvious one. Let's get this kind of out of the way, and it's sales velocity. And really, it's extremely intuitive. It's Amazon wants to see your brand, your product move. It wants to see sales velocity in an optimized manner. And when I refer to an optimized sale, what we're referring to is a keyword-driven sale. And for what you guys are probably aware of in terms of an optimized sale is when you inject a keyword into a URL, we're talking things like super URLs, storefront URLs, that you're telling Amazon that a customer is buying a product based on that search. You're sort of creating buyer intent through the structure of that URL.
Absolutely.
So that's really what sales velocity is all about. And this is still a main and key factor. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, Brennan, how you've maybe seen this change over time. Do you feel like sales velocity as a ranking factor has remained the same? Or have you seen any changes, let's say, over the past 4 or 5 years when it comes to ranking?
In terms of sheer numbers, and in terms of the keyword, like we still use super URLs. We're still loading it with keywords. We're not sending it to the detail page like we used to do. So that's definitely something that has changed. Are we still pushing sales to that super URL? Yes, of course we are. I use it across all my businesses and all the products and all the keywords. So that has not changed. To be honest, the algorithm really has not changed. And we're definitely going to dive into that deeper into this presentation. But sales velocity is still a huge factor because why? Because Amazon wants to move up products because they're popular, and Amazon wants to show popular products. I mean, of all the millions of products on Amazon, only a small section actually get sales. Those are the popular products, and we'll dive into what determines popularity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep, a key part of this presentation. So again, when we're talking about sales velocity, there's a few different ways that you can achieve sales velocity, and you really can kind of break them up into 2 different buckets, if you will. There's paid sales and there is organic sales. And there's some nuances. There's sort of some pro tips that we want to make sure we share with you guys when it comes to realizing paid sales. And really we want to view this kind of from the top down, where running things like exact match campaigns where you are driving optimized keyword-driven sales, or you're driving, let's say, an auto campaign where you're harvesting keywords, you're doing a bit of discovery, you're realizing some degree of ROI. But something we always champion and we want to make sure we share with you guys is making sure an auto campaign stays on.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a huge part of the ranking equation, is making sure you keep an auto campaign on for your ASIN.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen time and time again through all of the ASINs and all of the keywords that any of those products that turn off automatic campaigns always see a drop in rankings, and all the campaigns that have stayed on and always are on, just leave it on. You are better off lowering your bid and then turning it off. Or what I like to do is take keywords out of my auto campaign, put them in my exact match campaign, then blacklist or make negative that exact keyword. So essentially your auto campaign will eventually get almost no impressions because there's no possible keywords you can come up for. That's your overall goal. Your overall goal is to spend 0 money on your auto campaign.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. So and that's really between keeping your auto campaigns on and realizing somewhat of a, as Brennan alluded to, almost a negligible spend, you get that rank benefit, but you also position yourselves for the best ROI through that harvesting, through that negative match on an ongoing basis. So crucial pieces there: ROI, rank impact on the paid side of things. One of the other big takeaways I've got noted for you guys is making sure that your Pulse. Pulse is a brand new feature that Seller.tools rolled out on the other side of the search volume update, and we continue to see, because this is an indication of contextual relevancy, greater performance. And so we really make sure and encourage everybody to ensure they address any Pulse-related issues when it comes to realizing paid sales that can positively impact all of your PPC metrics. And again, dovetail into what we've just touched on in terms of a ranking factor, which is a crucial part of the equation.
Yep, absolutely. You hit it spot on. The contextual part of it is, anything that's yellow, make it green, and definitely use Troy's blog post about increasing relevancy, increasing pulse, and it's great because you can go through seller tools, make them redo your listing, and then check pulse in just a click of a button, really, and then make all of those green. And if you have 2 more left, then you know your work is almost done, and continue to make those last 2 green, and then your job is done. And then you can circle back if they ever turn yellow again. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty amazing.
Yep, simple enough. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to post those. I know we are going. I've got a lot of stuff for you guys, so I want to make sure that if you have things that are open questions, if we can delve into any specific things a little bit more, we want to leverage the benefit of this being live content. We didn't want to just slap something together and throw it out. We would much rather be engaged with you guys and really make sure you're getting the most out of this content. So that's another big piece of the equation, of course, on not to highlight another piece of content from me, but I also have something out there that you guys really would find beneficial when it comes to paid sales and PPC, because what I and Brennan also does champion as an approach to your PPC efforts is, whenever possible, know your numbers, but run break-even PPC. Be willing to see that as the cost of doing business. Again, know your numbers so you're not unintentionally losing money over time, but you're realizing optimize the sales. You're garnering really omnipresence on channel, because, as we'll allude to with organic sales, if you are everywhere, paid, organic, you're throwing every rank factor back to Amazon, it's really almost an eventuality that you are going to outpace the competition. Unless they're ready to fight that good fight that you are taking up, it's really tough for them to compete with you, because you're throwing every signal to Amazon that you need to be visible, and you'll be ranking on the other side of that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've been championing this since day one. I've been selling this break even ACOS. Never try to optimize ACOS for profitability. My stance is a break even ad is as if the product never existed. You got a unit, made a little bit, made some money, broken even, and it's gone. But the sole purpose of that is to maintain your organic ranking so that no one can come right on top of you again. That's the whole purpose of those sales, the ACOS sales. Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So again, we've alluded to Amazon PPC. Remember those pro tips. I think that was a great tip from Brennan when it comes to how you harvest and treat your auto campaigns, addressing any pulse-related issues. That's a huge part of the equation. And then really consider, and again, we're very careful. I think this is something that I'm very happy as a team. We're very careful to give broad strokes and sweeping generalizations. Really evaluate if break-even PPC makes sense for you in terms of your budget, in terms of your comfort level with knowing your numbers. But what's important is understanding the implications of deploying that type of approach, right? Yeah. There's plenty of upside and potential, but make sure and evaluate it for your business that it makes sense at the end of the day.
Yep, absolutely. Especially when it's coming towards a keyword that you want to rank for. It's combined efforts on that keyword. So maybe you have to turn off, or let's say you're a little short on funds and you want to lower your bid or turn off some bid on some secondary or third keywords that aren't so important at this exact moment on this day. But the same day I'm doing, like, let's say a last launch, I definitely want to increase my bid on that particular day, because I want to get as much page interaction and sales on that particular keyword that day. So definitely leverage ASP as much as you can.
You're teasing another major factor.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great.
Okay.
That's one we're going to be touching on here, guys. So hang in there with us. So we've touched on sales velocity with respect to Amazon PPC and external PPC traffic. Just making sure I've got my notes here, guys, so we don't miss anything. When it comes to external PPC, now this kind of tends to be the topic du jour, is when it comes to external traffic sources, their impact on rank, and really how you should prioritize that. Because one of the challenges, I see this now for Amazon sellers, is that they're really feeling like they have to be a Facebook ad expert and an Amazon FBA expert and a Instagram. They're sort of already firefighting by being an Amazon seller, dealing with hijackers, inventory issues, all of these challenges. And then they're really being tasked by, different Facebook groups, different content is just telling them, hey, do this, learn it, and deploy it in such a way that you can get an ongoing ROI and you can really be an expert. That's really challenging. I would have to think for a seller that would create a lot of anxiety. But it's a factor in the ranking equation only as much, I would say, and this is kind of a controversial opinion. One of the factors that we're going to touch on, I think it has its greatest impact with that factor in mind. So that's my little Easter egg for what we're dropping a little bit later on. But external PPC traffic, again, if you can deploy it, I think the takeaway at this point is understanding, be cognizant. If you feel like you're being asked to be an expert in a number of different areas, that's too tall of a task. You need to run an 80-20 in your business to figure out where your time is best served and really really delve in and commit the resources, time, and energy to where to where there is the greatest return. Don't become an expert everywhere, because that can be a really a losing battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I fell victim to it. I was like, oh, I should go over this way and do Google AdWords, and at the same time do SEO, and at the same time do some press releases, and at the same time do AMS, and I was mediocre at everything. And it wasn't until I noticed, I was like, hey, I should just pick one thing and become really, really good at it. So maybe you are a mommy blogger and you have 10,000 followers, and that's your thing that you can drive traffic. I mean, I have friends that sell on Amazon that do nothing but press releases. That's all they do, but that's what they master. They're so good at it that they're doing hundreds of these unique press releases a day to drive traffic. Some people are really good at YouTube videos, or maybe they're really good at AMS, really good at ASP. There's so many different ways to drive that traffic back, but don't try to do all of them because you will fail. Just pick one and really master it. I would say definitely would be the key takeaway there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, guys. And we are getting your questions. I'm going to make sure we're going to bring those back. So don't hesitate to drop them in there. They're on my radar. I do have a means of capturing those. But I'm going to bring it back, and we'll make sure we get to those here in a second. So launch platforms. Now I'm going to put this kind of under the umbrella of being able to capture sales velocity, and they're multifaceted because not every launch platform is the same. Just the same way, not every seller is the same. There's nuance. There's major points of difference, but the outcome's the same. As a seller, you want to sell products, you want to generate revenue, and launch platforms are really meant to, again, generate sales velocity, but inject, at least for us, again, we're talking as Seller.tools, as last launch fans, that we always consider when we put together presentations like this, we're taking the insights from what we see working for ranking and making sure that they show back up in a platform like last launch. But the reason I bring it up in this context is, again, for sales velocity as a rank factor. I can't think of a launch platform that doesn't use some type of optimized URL to generate or recreate that buyer intent, injecting a keyword or some sort of unique URL string. But it's all about optimized sales at scale. Again, sales velocity is the key factor there.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. I have nothing to add there.
Yeah, that's a short and sweet one. Yeah. So organic sales. Now, this is really really where our focus went. I think it's a really interesting point to make that both Brennan and I, on the other side of selling some of our flagship brands, that we gravitated towards solutions that really Seller Tools embodies. It's really focusing on getting keywords right and driving those organic sales. Still to this date, the most recent data that I saw, 75%, about 25.1% of sales on Amazon are driven by PPC. The other 3/4 of the equation are organic sales on platform. And that is all driven by keywords. I'm really stressing the point that keywords are the crucial piece. When we talk about optimized sales and URLs, they're all about injecting keywords. That's how you get visibility on Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So a key part of the equation.
Yeah, Amazon has no idea what your listing is, what your ASIN is. It's a blank canvas. And by you putting those keywords in it, you're describing what your product is within that particular category. And then as you begin to get sales and interactions on that page, really about page interactions, you reinforce what your ASIN or your product is about. So PPC leads to organic, and organic is just reinforcing what you have, essentially.
Absolutely.
What your product is.
Yeah. And the way that I always like to refer to organic sales or organic optimization is really doing things that everybody has to do, but better. Everybody has to create a product detail page. That's the only way somebody has an entry point. It's a bridge to selling, somebody adding to their cart your product. And so it's hugely important to really do it better than everybody else. I mean, that's really that expectation of how can you expect to sell more, realize that ongoing sales velocity, that ranking, that visibility, unless you do something different. And I think that was interesting as a little bit of hindsight and thinking, well, man, we gravitated towards keywords and really understanding organic optimization, but I think rightfully so, because it's such a key part of the equation, and it factors, again, as we're alluding to here, with ranking. It's such a crucial piece. So when it comes to, again, keyword research, listing optimization, I'm gonna make sure I've got my notes right so I'm not duplicating efforts here. Is getting both of those pieces right. This is really where, again, everybody has to do these steps. Some people, I mean, they may neglect them altogether when it comes to conducting that keyword research and completing that listing optimization. And one of the things I always like to share when we allude to this is really the prioritization of weighted fields. You did a really cool sort of case study to really highlight this. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit more when it comes to identifying and how you really isolated the weight of fields in a listing.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, we took a brand new product, brand new UPC code, and the walkthrough or how-to case study is out there somewhere. I think it's 9 videos or so long. And it took me quite a while to do because you have to wait, of course, for the algorithm to update. And each part is different. You know, you first have the back end, or excuse me, the kind of behind the scenes updates, and then the detailed page updates, and then the search results update. So you definitely have to wait for all 3 to go through before that first step, you know, the first test is finished. But essentially what it was is we moved keywords around within the listing and then recorded their keyword position with 0 sales, 0 page interaction, you know, just its raw essence of just being a listing with keywords in it. And I definitely know that the case study, I believe, is on seller.tools. And essentially, as we moved them around from title to the subject matter to the bullet points to the description field, we could definitely see this balance of different positions for this particular keyword, which reinforces in a logical presentation that there is a weighted difference, of which we didn't know. We just had to kind of prove and build a case study for everybody to kind of see. And to this day, with all of my listings, I still structure them the same exact way, which is right here in front of us. Title and subject matter are weighted the same. Then it's search term, which is also known as the back-end keywords. Then the bullet points, and then the least important, which is description field in terms of a weighting of organic. And yeah, I to this day, I haven't had anyone to prove differently, but you're free to challenge it and present some different data. But from what I noticed, and this is, again, how we're structuring my listings, is exactly what you see in front. Again, title, subject matter, 2 most important, search term, bullet point, description.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Really powerful stuff, guys. So as you can imagine, when it comes to doing keyword research, and this is really laying out the framework for listing optimization, is we've really created these shorthands. I think I saw a question in regards to search volume update. You know, we've taken a lot of steps. I'm very proud of the seller.tools team for, on the other side of that update, rolling out 2 other unique Amazon data points shortly thereafter. And really why I mention it in the context of keyword optimization and listing optimization, or keyword research and listing optimization, is one of those is TSI Plus. And what it does is it gives you, it meets the same objective of what we were looking at with search volume. What you really want to know, that the key word, for lack of a better phrase or word, is priority.
Yep.
Priority is the most important thing, because that's what you're looking at search volume for, whether it's 10,001 or 9,009. Like the relative weight really only gives you a slice, a little piece of insight. Yep. What you want to know is what has more, because I want to prioritize that. And then you take that, so TSI Plus is an example, and you build out your listing with this weighting in mind, and you're probably ahead of, 85% of sellers? I mean, the number would probably blow a lot of people's minds, because you get so bogged down in the details that you forget, wait, why am I doing this? Like, I'm looking at raw numbers, I'm trying to extrapolate data points, but at the end of the day, you want prioritization, which TSI Plus gives you, and you want performance, which, as I alluded to with Pulse through your seller.tools account. that gives you that same insight and make sure that when you're spending your money on PPC on a daily basis, as many of us are, that it's not wasted efforts. You're getting the most out of your performance, and you're addressing any challenges with respect to optimization opportunities.
Yep.
So crucial part of the equation, again, as this is kind of nested under organic sales, and getting those things that everybody has to do and doing them better.
Yep.
So
I have one little thing on TSI. So
yep.
we obviously have TSI 2.0 here in front of us with Seller.tools, and in the past we had TSI 1.0. Mm-hmm. And at that moment in time, it was the only thing we had. We did not have search volume. So we kind of had no idea where the volume was. So everyone kind of jumped on the bandwagon towards Google or Bing to kind of give an idea or a pulse of where the traffic actually was. And it wasn't until we figured out TSI, and it comes from Amazon, it's an Amazon metric, that we took these popular tools, and I won't name names because I used to use them. It was only tools on the market. And I'd copy out these keywords that they said had all these thousands of traffic on them, right? 50,000, 100,000, 300,000 sessions on them. And I'd put them in, I'd ask Amazon, or put them inside Seller Tools. And the TSI would come back as a 3 or a 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's going on here? So is Amazon lying, or is this other tool that's utilizing Google data lying? So that's when I realized, like, hey, let me just sort all my keywords by TSI. And that's when I began to prioritize, okay, let me take my 10s and my 9s and put them in the title. Let me put the 10s and 9s in my subject matter. Let me put the 7s and 6s in my search term field and build my listing that way. So definitely utilize it. And it's still valid to this day.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Super powerful. So again, for those that don't want to firefight, as we touched on with external traffic, and you want to prioritize and get the most out of your efforts and be ahead of 80-90% of the people out there, is, again, TSI for prioritization, pulse for performance, and then using the weighting. And this is a huge leg up for getting the organic keyword research listing optimization pieces done right.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So I think from there we've got, again, this is what we've touched on. Now, this is, I think, we're sort of piercing the veil with the next rank factor that we're going to touch on for you guys. We've touched on sales velocity, which, again, organic and PPC sales, some key takeaways there. Make sure that you definitely implement those. But this is, I think, something that most people have not heard about really ever. I say ever, but really in small circles. This really comes up in masterminds, closed groups, whispers of conversations when it comes to the impact that page interactions, and I should make sure this is clear. What we're referring to with page interactions is product detail page interactions. That's what we're alluding to here, and how it impacts rank on Amazon.
Yep.
And this is something that it's a really nuanced topic. It's something that you can kind of imagine. It's sort of intuitive, right? Let's think about it from Amazon's perspective. When they're seeing sellers come into their marketplace and they're spending more time or completing more interactions on a listing, it's sort of implied that seller has done a better job of welcoming that engagement, welcoming those interactions, and Amazon effectively wants to reward that via rank. So it's really crucial that we really unpack this point, because I think it's going to be something that, again, for those that have never heard of this or maybe have some degree of understanding, I really want to unpack it for you guys to make sure you understand how you can use it in your business and take sort of that intuitive insight, and how does that show up tactically in the things that you deploy moving forward.
Yep, absolutely.
So what I want to share with you guys, and this is a topic we want to make sure we really unpack. We're doing this live, and so we want to make sure there's nothing missed. Again, I got my notes here to make sure we don't miss anything. But let's start with this first. What Amazon used to present to sellers was a metric called popularity score. This was a way in which Amazon sort of it's sort of like was the God metric. Maybe you can take that from there, from Brendan. Not the God metric part, but popularity score and what it entailed, what the power of when we previously had insight into this metric.
Yeah, so Amazon essentially rolled it out in order to determine when something was popular. Yeah. Amazon knew that it was more than just sales. And so they had to determine, because not every single interaction converts into a sale. So for instance, someone could have one interaction and one sale. Well, they're at 100%. Well, someone had 10 interactions and only one sale. 10% conversion rate. Well, therefore, why should the person with one sale have a higher popularity score or sales? So Amazon had to come up with a way in order to determine, kind of similar to how Google uses bounce rate and time on page, to determine, hey, there's other factors other than inbound links. So Amazon started determining, okay, what is something that we want people to do on detail pages? Mm-hmm. It's more than just go to the detail page and check out. If someone does just that, then Amazon can kind of assume that they're probably not, something's funny going on here. A normal person maybe will look at the price, will look at the bullet points, will look at the description field, will take a look at the reviews, read a couple of reviews, and then maybe scroll back up to the top and then eventually buy. So as Amazon thought about the customer more, they started creating this kind of profile. And this is where right in front of us we have these 220 factors in front of us, which melded into what we now know as popularity score, of which we used to be able to get from Amazon through their API, and they got rid of that in 2011. But it actually used to be a raw number that diminished over time. So think of, as you increase your popularity score and and nothing else happens, then your popularity score begins to drop. Mm-hmm. So we could query this, get this from the API from Amazon, and Amazon knew it was just a little too powerful, and they got rid of it. So that's kind of the short history of popularity score. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think that that adds a lot of context now. It's something that was readily available, tapered off, but the insight is there, right? And the 220 factors, I think that gives you a sense of the extent of the potential page interactions that are at play here. I know Brennan alluded to a few. The way in which they phrase some of the media-related interactions are very interesting, but that's what's at play here. And so, and thinking about how this is a rank factor that you can sort of keep in mind. How can you creatively, first and foremost, understand it? Again, this is where we're sort of teaching you how to fish, right? It's understanding the concepts to where you can go out and deploy the strategy with this knowledge in mind. And one of the other really important and key takeaways we wanted to make sure to cover is this concept of conversion rate really not being what you've been told. Because as you can start to see, we've touched on sales velocity, which is kind of the obvious one, right? Now we've touched on page interactions, which is the not so obvious one. A little bit, again, kind of we're piercing the veil a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes. But conversion rate is all in and all about sales velocity. Page interactions really kind of starts to complete that picture, but really what you've probably heard about conversion rate isn't what you've been told. And I wanted to share with you guys an example that we found by running a last search through seller.tools. And I really kind of just came upon this organically. I was just kind of screwing around in the platform, and I spotted this example, and I think it's a really great one to share with you when it comes to the idea of, in this example, what we would assume to be what's referred to as botted traffic. Now, this is a strategy that can be deployed. It is a black hat strategy. I want to stress that for those that are not aware or haven't heard of it, haven't seen it, or, everybody's just aware, because again, I really stress this to Brennan. We're going to touch on black hat strategies for their nuggets of insight, but I'm definitely not championing that you go out and deploy these strategies. Just understand, why are they working? What is Amazon rewarding? And can I do that in a white hat way that still gets the outcome that I'm looking for, right? So unpacking this example, what I'm sharing with you is, as you can see, Dead Sea Mud Mask, and I've appropriately blanked out the brand. Above Dead Sea Mud Mask, which would effectively be the main keyword, it's welcoming, if you look on the far right, nearly 8 times the exact impressions for what should be its main keyword. A Dead Sea Mud Mask is Dead Sea Mud Mask, garlic press is garlic press. It's really the intuitive main keyword, but it's driving all of this traffic, botted traffic, what Amazon will refer to as invalid traffic, driving all this traffic and not realizing on a relative scale the same amount of sales. So you have this influx of traffic, this disparity of sales, but this product was ranking highly. It was crushing it with page 1 visibility. And so you can really see this page interaction piece at play, or excuse me, more specifically on the conversion rate side of understanding, if you've heard that a lot, that drum has been beaten often, it's really understanding it's, as we've touched on, 220 factors. There's not really a shorthand to arrive at what exactly works, but it's just understanding, again, if you hear these things, these insights really help you to round out, really add the color, the context to understanding what's at play here.
Yeah, I've heard multiple times from gurus that conversion rate is the end all be all, and increase your conversion rate, and et cetera, et cetera. And the conversion rate is important. Like you, if people land on your page, you want them to buy. Don't get me wrong about that, but it's not the end all be all of ranking by any means.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we want conversions. Conversions are sales, like that. But it's understanding your objective, right? Like, if your objective is to rank explicitly, that's the highest or the most important priority and objective. Understand its weight in the context of everything else that's going on. There may be more things at play, like the things that we are touching on for you guys. So this is a really powerful, very specific example. And one of the things that we were talking about, Brendan, too, was the idea of invalid traffic and how Amazon's actually put a lot of weight, energy, and resources to invalidate this type of traffic because, of course, they want to get ahead of black hat sellers and make sure that they're not deploying these types of strategies to really dilute the marketplace.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, want to touch on the company or?
Yeah, let's share it because I think this is kind of a cool insider example. We nerd out on this stuff. I mean, this is what we're all about. This is why we can share this with you guys, is that we spend all day thinking about what does Amazon want? How can we reward, how can we set up sellers to do exactly those things and share it with you openly? And it requires us to really stay tapped in. So, do you want to share the site?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, just to know, I suppose. Why not? I mean, there's no downside to it.
Yeah, there's essentially Cisco level. I don't know what you would consider it. Cisco level, enterprise level steps that Amazon's taking, and the site that you guys can check out, it's moat.com, and it really speaks to the fact and the steps that they're taking to invalidate that traffic. So this is something that's really intentional by Amazon to take these explicit black hat steps, not our white hat steps where we take their rank factors in mind and really try to deploy them carefully, but it's really these overt black hat tactics that they're really trying to stymie and get rid of.
Yeah, Amazon wanted to kind of jump on and get ahead, like you said, of these black hats, so they actually went and partnered up with Moat.com, which specializes in identifying of invalid traffic, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so feel free to check that out. It's kind of a cool thing. I love when our team kind of finds these things and we can share it with you guys. But again, knowing they're doing that for the explicit reason that they want to see page interactions, right? They want people to spend time on Amazon. Like there's the potential for sale. There's the aggregation of traffic. I mean, there's just so much that they can do with it. So it makes sense, but you got to understand, we have to know first to be able to add some strategy around it, right?
Yep.
So cool. So hopefully you guys enjoy that example. And I shared the black hat because, again, the black hat is where we get nuggets of insight, but we don't deploy those strategies. We don't have to do that ourselves. We don't need to send this botted traffic or, take those types of steps that are so overt, because this is our livelihoods on the line. We're sellers. We want to legitimize our brands. We want to crush it on Amazon and, take the opportunity to its fullest, whether it's moving to other channels, selling off our brand, you name it. But again, black hat strategies do come with nuggets of insights.
Yep.
I'm going to answer that quick question. So it's MOAT.com, Ellie. So moat, like a moat around a castle.
Yep. Yeah, there's some great educational videos and content. I mean, it's a little techie.
It is.
It's very techie, but if you understand, what's going on there, it's actually very interesting. And it makes a lot of sense on why it makes sense that Amazon is deploying their knowledge and their technology.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. All right. I did have a few other of the black hat tactics. But again, I kind of want to be careful with this, guys, because I don't want to plant the seed of you doing things that we mentioned. But it's really understanding the engagement on a product detail page. Mm-hmm. That's really the important thing. All right. So with that, let's cover the next crucial and important factor for you to keep in mind for 2019, and that is going to be the honeymoon period. I don't know who coined this name, but it's sort of aptly named when it comes to the impact of being able to effectively prioritize rank efforts when a product becomes new or active on Amazon.com. So maybe you can talk about this a little bit more. I know you're launching a lot of products, Brennan. So deploying the honeymoon period, you've seen this daily. I mean, you've seen the impact of this often with a lot of your own products.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes to different variations, different colors, different products. And what I've noticed with my products is it's definitely when it's the day of the sale is what I notice with my products. So for instance, right now a lot of my products are China based. And as you know, it takes China quite a while to manufacture it, to get it on a boat, to customs, to ship it or truck it to Amazon, etc. So you could be talking, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months by the time I get that item. So of course I create the ASIN and I get the FN SKU ahead of time to put it on the box or put it on the item. And I know that I need to strike essentially when the honeymoon period is there, essentially. So I definitely will do whatever I can to line up that item, knowing that I need to launch that item. So I will get based on my reviews. I will begin to do my giveaways. I will begin to do my mini launches, and I will begin to really kind of strike during that period. Because what Amazon wants to see and why it works is Amazon wants to they want to put season items in front of people if people want to see those season items. But when a new movie comes out, or a new character of that movie comes out, or some new, like last year it was the hoverboards, this year it was the booty bands. It's a great product. But it's a brand new word, it's a brand new product, and so it's hot. So they want to shove it to the top of the search result and get in front of the people and say, hey, customers out there of Amazon, we have this product too. Imagine if it was strictly based upon sales, let's just say, and it was hidden on page 300, it could never get in front of the customers, and so therefore the customers would go to another website. They would go to the store, the physical store, instead of staying on Amazon. Thus, they give a priority to kind of hot new items, including, again, because they don't know what your ASIN is, they give a priority to your brand new ASIN until they kind of figure out what it is. So that's kind of hopefully that made sense of kind of the gist of the honeymoon period. And yeah, we absolutely take advantage of it. And now we actually line up our strategy based upon that. So we make sure that I don't do a test buy on Amazon a week or 2 weeks before I'm ready. I will no longer, I used to send like one case via air in order to get units in order to get the review process going, in order to get things situated until my boat inventory caught up. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, you know what? Let's just sit on our hands and wait till the boat inventory gets here. Because if my item is this big, I can't ship all those by air. So no longer will I ship them again ahead of time. I will wait till the boat and all my inventory gets here, and that's when I hit it hard.
Yeah.
So I used to kind of build that up, and no longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've touched on when it comes to paid sales, organic sales. Is there any recommendations you would have when it comes to deploying and really realizing sales velocity? For those that have never heard of this before, again, to kind of sum it up, what it means is that you want as much kind of sales velocity and page interactions as soon as a product becomes active. There is a kind of a point of diminishing returns that we've seen. So the sooner the better. And I can probably guess in terms of some people's maybe challenges is things like review gathering, is trying to time and sync up some of those steps, turning on and structuring PPC. So maybe do you have some takeaways that you would want to share for how you deploy that?
So it's obviously more difficult for a new seller to succeed because they just have less resources at their disposal. And someone who's been selling a long time says, okay, I have this I built out an email list, I built out my Facebook group, or I built out an Instagram following, or I built out something that's going to give my review base. Or I have my Facebook ads lined up for that day. So whatever they have something lined up, ready for when that product comes into stock. It doesn't get in stock, and then they kind of say, okay, now I need to figure out Facebook because my inventory has been there for 3 months.
Right.
I did a test by myself 6 months ago, but I haven't sold any since. Now let me learn Instagram. So they learn it ahead of time. So I guess the first takeaway is you need to figure out what your lever is going to be. Obviously, if you're a seasoned seller, you have a lot more levers to pull. But if you're a newer seller, then you need to identify what is going to work for you. What are you good at to take advantage of this honeymoon period? So I would choose a product that is less competitive. I would choose a product that doesn't have thousands upon thousands of reviews that I need to compete with. And I can choose something that fits my wallet and fits my review base also. So if I can come out of the gates with 20, 30, 40 reviews in that short period of time, I know that I can do those other things with that review base. And I know that you can do a launch with one review. Mm-hmm. And I know you can turn on PPC with one review. But again, people stick because they begin to convert organically.
Right.
And that's the goal of the honeymoon period. So like you get one shot. So let's make sure this works. So I guess another piece of advice was stack what you have. So, definitely try to get during the honeymoon period, get those reviews, get those sales on those keywords, on the super URL. Turn on PPC, maybe turn up the juice on that particular keyword you're focusing on, or a couple of keywords you're focusing on. Maybe you are driving outside Facebook traffic. Maybe you are doing an email campaign. But begin to stack all within that period of time, but knowing that you have a game plan when that product comes in stock. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It really requires sellers to do that due diligence, understanding the impact that the honeymoon period has to mm-hmm. really push sales. One of the questions we got: how long is the honeymoon period, and how do you launch outside the period? So let's unpack that a little bit. I think these are really important key takeaways that we can share. What we would share as an approximation mm-hmm. is probably around 180 days. So again, this is taking our insights, and again, Last Launch does give us really great data to continue to extrapolate from. The question just went away. But that's roughly what we see. So definitely work with that in mind. But like I said, we've also seen lessened impact. So what it really requires of us as sellers is to really tighten up that window as soon as that listing is active and does realize those sales.
Yep.
And how do you launch outside that period? In terms of on the other side of honeymoon?
Yeah, I think that's what he means.
Yeah. I think this is a great question. And we structured this in such a way to hit on honeymoon period on the other side of page interactions, because if those gears are turning, you're starting to think, okay, if I want page interactions, how can I incentivize somebody to spend time and share a review on the listing, or engage with media on my listing, or you're thinking through page interactions, and you're taking advantage of the fact that you have a seasoned product and doubling down on that rank factor. So again, don't view these in isolation. There's an interplay with a lot of these factors that you can, again, as a seasoned product where you're, I don't have the honeymoon period. Resetting your listing doesn't make sense. Doing those types of strategies don't make sense. How can you leverage the fact that your product is seasoned? Can it get more reviews? Can it get more engagement, interactions on listing? Can it sustain sales velocity? Can you re-optimize? There's some quick wins I'm going to share with you guys, but that's the type of thinking I want you to have when it comes to, okay, we've gone over this clear rank factor and this clear rank factor, but they're not siloed off. They almost kind of go into one large bucket and they get mixed together, and you need to pull the levers that are at your disposal to really elevate the one that's right there in front of you.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely combining all the sources to it. So if you're going to launch after the honeymoon period, can you? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. There's great days of the month, there's days of the week to make that launch happen. There's slow periods, hyperactive periods. Like, would I ever launch in December with a popular electronic or toy or something? Absolutely not. Like, when is the best time to launch a seasonal product, which would be off season? Mm-hmm. So definitely, take advantage of low periods when traffic is low. I mean, that's when I would strike. So if I'm getting ready for a summer product, I'd launch right now to do pool toys or something. So absolutely, there's still plenty of opportunity to launch after a honeymoon period. But again, it's combining all those things together. At the same time, don't just try something here and try something there and like, look, I turned on PPC, I didn't rank, let me turn it off because I spent too much money, and let me go try Facebook. Okay, I tried that didn't work, let me turn that off. Like, you'd be better off figuring out the levers you can pull and putting them together. So like, doing a last launch, doing the PPC, doing your friends and family giveaway, maybe doing an email blast. all within the same close period in order to get that ranking.
Yeah, really clarify that roadmap so you can make the most of it.
Yeah, because before we used to say, okay, it's going to take me about 6 months to build up this product. Now that's really shrunken down and really compacted, and I really have to figure out now what is my plan for this particular product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And then again, a key takeaway here, earlier the better. There may be diminishing returns over time.
Yep.
So we've already touched on a few key factors. Again, we've touched on sales velocity, we've touched on page interactions, product detail page interactions, and just now touching on the honeymoon period. And one of the things that's becoming a greater focal point as it pertains to rank is really the next factor that we're going to share with you guys, and that is the quality of the customer. And this is another sort of intuitive one. It falls right in the same category as page interactions. That Amazon, with all the vastness of data they have the largest buying community in the world ever, and the idea that they don't segment or understand or qualify that customer really doesn't make a lot of sense. So it is kind of intuitive that they would do this, but for us as sellers, what we want to understand is, what does that look like? How can we utilize that if they're qualifying and sort of identifying a quality of customer? How can we go after, share our deals, interact, engage those folks, and make sure that we're realizing the most ranked benefit from those customers? So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this, Brennan, because I'd be curious to know over time if you've seen this change at all with your brands, with your with the sales that you've seen through now a number of customers. You're a high volume seller. Has this changed over time, or is this something that's kind of new?
It's changed over time, and it's kind of obvious that it's changed over time if you just think for a moment logically. Okay, so before anyone could open up an Amazon account, and I mean they still can. Anyone can open up an Amazon account. Then it was you had to spend, I think it was $5. Yeah, you had to purchase at least one thing, and at that moment you could purchase something that was free. Yeah. then you were a quality customer that could leave verified reviews. Let's just say, and therefore they said, wait, that doesn't make much sense. All accounts now have to spend $5 on their accounts, right? Now they're quality. And then they moved. What was it? Over a year ago, they moved the line to $50 now. Now okay, that's the line. Yeah. That they're quality customer, but there's so much more than just that. But I just want to give that as an example of where the goalpost is kind of moving, right? Where they kind of notice, and just in terms of how much money a customer spends matters to them. Credit cards on the file matter to them. Yep. Whether the zip code matches the credit card matters to Amazon. Whether you return your items and have a high cancellation rate or high refund rate, that is troublesome to Amazon because you're kind of a bad customer. Will they ever prevent you from ordering on Amazon? No, but they definitely will put you down at the lower quality of customer level. Yeah. So
yeah, and a crucial part of the equation, and that's something that we are constantly focused on. We know that's the premise. That's kind of our place of knowing and understanding. And again, it's pretty intuitive, but how it shows up in our business and really how we launch our products and segment our customers. And that's really for us at Seller.Tools and through the Last Launch platform is where we really double down and continue to focus on something we call PAT, and that's preferred audience targeting. And it's leveraging this insight in mind when it comes to rank factors to really obsess over what are those qualification factors. Thankfully, it's in many ways in a data-driven manner, and how are we segmenting customers to where we're serving up the best customers to Last Launch customers. Because we do the same thing. This is, once we get these insights, we continue to cobble them into our Last Launch platform, because again, the proof of concept that Last Launch is and has to be for customers, it really requires us to incorporate those rank factors. And so this is really an important one. It's one that we're constantly talking about, evaluating, and I think to a degree, I mean, your point is well made. The goalpost keeps moving. For other metrics and data points, and I kind of see that continuing to be the case. It's going to require of us a real diligence through Last Launch, but also as sellers to really stay tapped into, okay, what is a high quality customer now to Amazon? This quarter, this year, we're going to continue to revisit this and make sure that those metrics, those data points are something we really understand and leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of detailed page interactions, they know that that's why they hired Mode, because they want quality customers. They want to say, okay, this person who landed on my page is a quality person. It's not a bot. It's not Walmart. It's, it is a quality customer that is legitimately shopping on my website. Therefore, I'm going to trust what they do on this website as legitimate. So
yeah, key and crucial point there. So quality of customer is something you want to be thinking about, and this is where in other areas, if you're not using like a last launch or something that's really intentional about this, is really kind of keeping it top of mind. How can you qualify a customer? How can you get those, sort of put yourself in Amazon shoes? If you're not able to do it in a data-driven manner, try to think through, okay, what does this customer look like? How does Amazon view them? And is it somebody that would be their ideal customer? That there's all of those metrics at play. Again, things that we're obsessing and always thinking about, but is a focus and a priority for you as a seller.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So we've gone over now a few things. Now that we've incorporated quality of customer with some of the other key factors, it's all about putting it together. That's really the 80-20 of rank factors as you're coming into 2019. And so now that we've really delved into the strategy, you now understand how to fish, throwing out some of those lures, you're probably thinking, okay, what are some of the tactics? And it's important, I think, for us to share some of those quick wins. You can realize, hopefully, again, those gears are turning for you guys to think about, again, sales velocity. Can I re-optimize? Do I need to run break-even strategies? Leveraging the insight that Brennan dropped for auto campaigns, how to manage those moving forward, and identifying, segmenting, qualifying, and getting the highest quality customers to come in, interact, and realize those optimized sales. So when it comes to putting it all together, again, sharing with you guys some quick wins, some things that you can really do in the next week or two that are going to really benefit your business. Some people don't even know this information, so take advantage, be a first mover, and leverage it to its fullest. So going through a few of these, of course, the obvious one here with launching faster sooner is taking that honeymoon period by the horns and saying, I'm going to generate a ton of sales velocity, ton of page interactions. I'm going to make the most of that honeymoon period. Even if that quality of customer maybe isn't there, you're at least really planning, doing your due diligence to where as soon as that listing gets that sale and gets active, you're making the most of that opportunity.
Yep, absolutely.
Then we have more listing media. Now this is kind of, this really falls right into that page interactions bucket. We know Amazon rewards engagement and time on that product detail page as a page interaction. That shows intent, that shows interest, that shows engagement. Those are things that Amazon wants to see as a popularity score factor, a crucial piece of the equation.
Yeah, can I jump on there?
Absolutely.
That one? So more listing media. What I noticed, I still see low quality listings, and when I say that in media sense, so if you're going to have an image, all your images, they need to be an image that you have to zoom in on. I think it's, what is it, 1200 by 1200? Yeah, something like that, 1200 by 1200, 15 by 1500 pixels. You want to make sure that the image can be zoomed in on so that the person can interact with the image. And what we've been doing is we stand back a little bit and look at our images and say, is there something that we could make interesting about this image? Okay, so hear me out for a second. Okay, so if you were to look at the image and say, look, there's something interesting going on in this image, and I know you can't do it on the first image, this is once they land on your detail page. You can find something interesting in a lifestyle image, and you can go ahead and let your mind kind of wander on what that may be, depending on what niche it is, that you would invite someone to click on it with their finger for their phone, because most of the traffic, 70% of the traffic, is going to come through that phone, and they want to take a closer look at that image, right? So if I'm in the automotive space and I'm selling a lot of guy stuff, maybe my lifestyle image is going to be a very attractive woman. And maybe the guy, he's interested in my tools, but he also just wants to see this girl. So he's going to go ahead and click on it, kind of look at the picture and like, wow, she's cute, right? So he's going to go down to the next photo to her and her. All of a sudden, he just interacted with 7 of my photos. And guess what? Slot 8, it's a video of her demonstrating tools. And he's going to watch all 4 minutes and 50 seconds of that video. Now he's on the page for 6 minutes, right? I just did that just from high quality zoomable images that were tailored towards my customer that's landing on my page, because I know who my customer is, and I have the video on the last slot. So in terms of listing media, that's, to me, is a kind of a no-brainer, but then Amazon loves it. because someone is interacting with the page, and that's part of the ranking factor. So, and again, I mean, we can go down an entire list of stuff on the detail page, but just to give you an idea of what you can do,
That's
very simply.
huge. Yeah, that's huge, guys. So again, you probably have never heard of anything quite to this degree, but you can see as we've kind of pierced the veil here with page interactions, how that can show up practically in your listing. That's an exceptional tactic and huge takeaway for you to be able to deploy, because there's all kinds of media that are available now on listings. You got EBC, you got related video shorts, you got images, you got videos. Like Amazon wants all of that. They're almost creating and you can see this with where they're going with the social aspect of, I mean, even things like Amazon giveaways. It's just taking Amazon and taking sort of the social interaction piece and layering it over the top, and they're slowly gravitating that way. And rewarding page interactions at the end of the day.
Yeah, you just another little tidbit. Just wait for the video ads, Amazon video ads, to come out.
Yeah.
So imagine if the person clicks on the video on my listing, but it's someone else's competitor ASIN. Amazon's going that route because they know they want that interaction. Right. Like YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So incentivizing interactions. Now, be careful with this. This is something where, again, you don't want to run up against TOS or deploy any blackout strategies. We definitely don't want you to encourage you to do that. But I think some of the seeds of ideas that we've given you are starting to, again, hopefully those gears are turning to where you're thinking, okay, if this is my objective, how can I do that on my product detail page? How can I really get somebody, as an example, share your favorite review? That's an easy way to have somebody scroll through, find their favorite review, and do you want to reward them? Do you that's really up to you as a seller. But again, the objective being is driving that time on page and getting those product page detail interactions.
Yep, absolutely.
Then we've got break-even PPC. This is usually an easy one. If you really view your PPC as the cost of doing business, break-even PPC is essentially making sure that your net cost is zero.
Yep.
That's what you want at the end of the day. So it requires you to really know your numbers. I think you might have some because you've deployed this type of strategy for quite some time now. Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah. What do you think are maybe some missteps that sellers make when it comes to doing their numbers for break-even PPC?
The first thing I see is they look at like a campaign or an ad group as a whole, right? They don't look at it at each individual keyword. You want to look at the ACOS of each individual keyword, and you want to pick your keywords that are actually your product, right? I know you can choose other keywords like tools, and I'm selling a drill or something, but maybe I just want to do all the drill keywords, and then definitely drill down for each individual keyword, because what I notice is people stand back and they look at the ad group or campaign level and they look, my ACOS is 40%, I'm doing good. But in reality, they could be underspending on one particular keyword and then overspending on something that doesn't matter to them, and then it's hitting that ACOS threshold, so they just stop. Mm-hmm. In reality, if they drill down, remove the noise, they could get so much more targeted sales on the keywords that actually matter, and then hit that break-even ACOS. Because again, use PPC as if that unit never existed, because your goal is to get organic. Your goal isn't to do profitable ad campaigns on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to get organic sales.
Right.
So definitely drill down into the ACOS of every single keyword, and not just at the ad level or campaign level.
Yep. That's very important part of the equation. And I know it can be tough. As sellers, you see the really competitive ACOS, and it can be really exciting to see that. But really, at the end of the day, you've got to define your objectives, right? Is it nice to have that ROI, or do you just want to rank and kind of take over? It's the idea of some sellers sell on Amazon, others dominate. You really want to just come in, give Amazon everything it's looking for in terms of a rank factor, and break even PPC between the omnipresence and the rank factor. It's kind of you're killing two birds with one stone.
Yep, absolutely.
So then we've got segment customers. When it comes to, again, high quality customers, doing the best that you can as a seller, leveraging PAT. For those that use Last Launch, of course, that's something that we continue to incorporate into the platform, staying really tapped in to what Amazon's looking for high quality customers. But keeping that in mind, if you can do it, definitely do it to get those high quality customers involved, interacting, and buying from you.
Yep, absolutely.
Then we have re-optimized keywords listings. Again, this is typically low-hanging fruit for those that are under-optimized. We've touched again on TSI Plus for prioritization and then insight with Pulse into keyword performance, and refer back. Definitely take a look at the graphic that we shared with you previously for the weighting of those listing elements. That just really makes it that much easier for populating and re-optimizing your listing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should always continually build out your listing because there's always new keywords that come across. Mm-hmm. So as new keywords come in, update your listing because it really is about visibility. I mean, 80% of what we do is just marketing and keywords. That's it. And we put those together. Customer service and logistics are the least important thing that you should be focusing on.
Yeah, that surprised me when Brendan shared that with me. That it was probably like 2 years ago when you were really in the thick of things and you were running a large brand with, I think it might have just been you. Yeah. And you shared that with me. I'm like, wow, like it's such a paradigm shift to think about. All I'm worried about is visibility and really a lot of what we're sharing here, like obsessing over what gets me in front of people because that turns into revenue, and then I can do whatever I want with that. I mean, I can throw resources at those things that maybe aren't as important, but they can, it just throws off the proceeds of what this visibility and that ranking gets you.
You want to build that lever, whatever your lever is. Like everyone's good at something. Someone's really good at Reddit marketing. Someone's really good at posting images on Pinterest or something like that. Whatever your oomph is, focus on that. I focused a ton of time on a Shopify store and SEO, and I mean, I had, 20 people doing SEO all across the board in the Philippines, and it was just a complete waste of money. Every press release was like, but I did it all half-assed. Yeah. And it wasn't until again, going back to the beginning, is just really focus on what you're good at, because at the end of the day, you want to drive targeted sales. Tell Amazon that this is my product, this is the keyword that my product is, and Amazon will reward that as long as the customers are quality. Amazon doesn't want fake traffic, bad bad customers. I mean, heck, even students with those free Prime accounts, like nope. Yeah. Amazon doesn't like them.
Yeah.
So why give one of these students a free one of your products when they don't help your listing whatsoever?
Right.
So if someone has a free Prime account, then tell them thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, so, that's a great point. A great point. And I think it takes into, again, understanding some of those quick wins. What, of course, we want to share with you guys is also what we pour with these insights into in terms of resources that show up in Last Launch. And this is really the takeaways for why we prefer this approach with these rank factors in mind, is because we can impose that control. We can look to segment customers. We can garner sales velocity. We can, again, do that in a keyword-driven or optimized way. And ideally, if we can realize that in the honeymoon period, that's great. If not, again, those seasoned products take full advantage of some of the other factors, page interactions and so on. But it really allows us to implement that control. It also is relatively cost-effective. A lot of people are shocked by this, but when you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on your PPC, and really even embracing the break-even PPC strategy, you're going to be putting a lot of funds and energy into PPC, which unless it's break-even, it may not be even a ranking effort. It's just to throw off some ROI, but there's really not a long-term play there. If that's your objective, is just purely ROI. So when it comes to launching, when it comes to really doing your numbers, more often than not, it can actually be more cost-effective for the explicit rank benefit. That's such a crucial part of the equation. If you do something intentionally for reviews, good, check off that box. If you do something intentionally for ranking, this is again where you evaluate what's my objective first and foremost, and then what's my return. If all of a sudden I jump from 300 to top 3 spots, well, shoot, that saves me a lot of time, effort, and energy. Well, that's where it really shows up being cost-effective. Especially when you do the evaluation, usually the greatest cost there is on the product side. But when you have to move those same amount of products anyway, it's sort of a matter of, okay, well, can I move those same products in a 3, 4, 5 day window, or do I need to wait 3 months and then question whether I'm still ranking? Yep. So at the end of the day, if you really deep dive into that analysis, it can be really cost effective. It's also free of that opportunity cost. That's really in that same wheelhouse of, am I waiting 3 months to rank, or am I outpacing my competition by launching this week, doing a 5-7 day launch and really turning it around and getting that rank visibility.
Yep. Stack everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
A nice last launch, nice PPC campaign, maybe throw a lightning deal in there, throw a best deal in there. Just stack it all, Facebook, get your friends, just funnel it all into those keywords. You know, just I mean, no longer can you do just one thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad, but then it's also nothing has really changed. We just have to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
So algorithm has not changed.
Absolutely. And then finally, when it comes to launching, it includes those crucial rank factors. As Brendan alluded to, we love to blitz keywords. We want to give Amazon every signal that we deserve that ranking above anybody else. And launching just, again, it pours in a lot of the things that we've talked about into one really great, really great recipe for ranking at the end of the day. So one of the other big things that we wanted to share with you guys, because to be candid, we found what tends to be some of the big objections when it comes to running a last launch with Seller.tools is really identifying and figuring out that ROI. Is this cost effective for me based on my objective? And so what we're really excited to share with you guys is we want to kind of address that head on.
Yep.
And the way that we did that is when we first rolled out last launch, we were at 95% for the explicit purpose. Again, all of these things kind of point at one another for the explicit purpose of generating sales velocity, really tight, high sales velocity window and giving Amazon that signal. Worked perfectly, worked great for day one launches. And now we've rolled out multi-day launches, more control. A lot of folks wanted to have that control. Many have been indoctrinated to 7, 8 day, 12-day launches, and we wanted to give them that flexibility. But at the end of the day, what we aim to do and what we're sharing with you now is we have dropped the cost, your expense to run a last launch now, where you can offer now 70% off. Now, the reason that we're doing this, of course, is it shows up as roughly 25, nearly 30% savings to you as an expense when it comes to product fees. But we still want that sales velocity. We still want those page interactions. We're still driving to high quality customers.
Yeah.
But this just shows up as a savings to you on the bottom line. It's making sure this is really cost effective for you. You're getting all those crucial rank factors. You're not realizing all that opportunity cost. And if ranking is important, and it is to all of us, that 70% off is something that you can leverage, and it's available now.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Yeah. Because price, and again, we're usually pretty transparent with everybody. The two factors when we were asking folks, hey, why haven't you run a last launch yet? We've been starting to share some results. People were starting to catch on. And there was a lot happening behind the scenes, a lot of brands that were starting to rely on last launch, and which was great. But we wanted to make sure we saw really that diversity of maybe even new up and coming brands that they knew, hey, this is kind of a way of not spending 4 or 5 months figuring out how you're going to rank. Let's save you time and money and run a last launch. And the two objections were really understanding and seeing that proof of concept. And now that we've started to share results, and thankfully sellers have been really open with us to allow us to share those results, we've kind of checked off that box, right? It's starting to get out there. People know that last launches are really effective. But for folks on the other end, price was a big objection. It was really understanding that, hey, what is my cost at the end of the day? They really evaluated that against their product fees, which again makes total sense, and you should definitely do that. But when you weigh that against what you're spending on PPC, other marketing, becoming a Facebook ads expert and running PPC, and you've got all this time and money tied up in other efforts, that really when you measure these things against one another, you see that with this type of savings, you get that rank benefit in a short period of time, and then you don't realize that opportunity cost.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I still run them. I still run them.
Yeah.
I will absolutely admit.
Yeah, and we have some really awesome brands. It's really cool to see. We have a ton of a variety of brands, a lot of really big juggernauts in the space, and they've gotten to be really excited and really glob on to last launch as a service and an offering.
Yeah,
so
we have brands that are launching almost every single day, and it's tough. I want to share the results, but everyone says, don't share my ASIN, don't share my keyword, don't share my brand, don't share anything. It's like, well,
yeah, it is tricky. It's been the trickiest marketing challenge in the world. When I think as sellers, we want to keep things to ourselves, especially if we find something that works. Yeah, you kind of hold it in. But it's starting to drip out there. People are seeing some really great results. Again, based on the ROI, based on the weighting of other factors. When they kind of pause and realize, wait, I'm spending $2,000-$3,000 on PPC, and what's my objective? Am I doing this just to throw off an extra $100 or so, or whatever the ROI is there, or is my objective to really rank? Because that is a long-term play. That's where that's the seeds of eight-figure brands and earning eight figures. Not just purely on revenue. When you really want to throw off some serious money on Amazon, you start prioritizing the things that are important to Amazon, and they love your money. They love the interactions of quality customers on your listing. So a lot of these things are really, I hope you guys are excited by us really covering these a little bit more in depth, and again, kind of piercing the veil. Some things that I, years ago had never heard of, never thought of, but now with some validation, with some data to support it, with us as sellers to really reconcile a lot of these parts and pieces, it's something that hopefully empowers you guys to make some informed decisions as you're looking to rank in 2019.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty spot on. I mean, I just published my last launch results on Christmas. Actually, New Year's.
New Year's.
Yeah, I had a product that launched on Christmas, and then was ranked a position 3, I think, on New Year's Day. So we're talking 6 days. Mm-hmm. But guys, I mean, that's why I lined up everything. That's why I lined up my reviews, lined everything up, and you don't need thousands of reviews, of course. You definitely want to take advantage of that honeymoon period. But you do have to do your work and line up reviews and line everything up in order to make it work. Mm-hmm. Would I recommend last launch with 0 reviews? Absolutely not. So all right. And then one more tidbit on I guess last launch and products, like. You always say, what do you always say if you walk up to someone, walk to someone on the street?
Yeah, if you have trouble giving the product away to a stranger on the street, I think it's a really good it's a really good litmus test, right? Where a lot of us have been very opportunistic, and I love the ingenuity of it, because people are finding some really obscure, very niche products, which is really cool because you can kind of carve out your own space. But you have to think about it. Last launch, we're not using robots or people on the other end that aren't. They have to see some utility in the product and be encouraged to want to buy and interact with your listing. Yep. And so when it comes to dictating what percentage off that you want to select, if you want to drive sales velocity, stay at that 95, 99% off. Like, be very cognizant of the fact, if you have trouble giving that product away to a stranger on the street, you need to pretty much be giving it away to the strangers that are all over the world. Yeah. They need to be incentivized at that same level, that same degree. Yep. The 70% off now gives you a cushion. It really lets you identify, and it's a business decision that as sellers, you need to understand real buyers on the other end, and we have to make sure we still continue to kind of sweeten the pot for them to incentivize them. Now, a bulk of products, I would say, probably won't run into this, but know your space, understand your niche, understand if you're selling an accessory of an accessory of an accessory, it's really a challenge to not really incentivize people to want to buy those things. So just kind of pause, maybe reflect on what that should look like.
What are you selling?
Yeah.
I was selling ashwagandha at one point, years ago, and I was trying to give it away for 5 cents on all the launch sites, and I had no idea, like, why is no one taking this? It's 5 cents. Mm-hmm. It just, no one knows what ashwagandha is. You know what I mean? Like, why do I want this? What am I going to take this for? I'm going to put it in my body? Like, are you kidding me? Like, if you're selling a bag of sand, like, come on. Yeah. You will have to be at the 99, 95% off. Right. But if you have a great product, that people want, you absolutely can do a 70%. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the same goes for multi-day. I think I saw a question earlier about us rolling multi-day launches on last launch. And one of the main factors was really allowing people to have the control. As I touched on a little bit before, we're very careful to create these broad sweeping generalizations. We've seen every exception to the rule, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen enough. We've been fortunate enough to see enough to where there can be exceptions. So, of course, we tell that one person to do this one thing in this one situation, and they're that exception. Yep. And that's really where it can falter, where what makes the most sense for you is, as the business owner, is to make that decision as to what's going to generate enough sales velocity, maybe in that backdrop. Are you doing things to push things like page interactions? Right. Are you in the midst of that honeymoon period? Are you on the other side of it? Do you have steps to qualify or have insight into the quality of the customer? Those are all the things that you want to be kind of be thinking about. And so with, again, multi-day, with the change now in the percentage off, you have full control. A lot of times we still get questions on, what's a good starting place? And And what I still do recommend for a lot of folks, and in most cases, is looking at about that 3-day launch. You still get that really solid spike in sales velocity. You mitigate any concerns. What would be happening sometimes with 1-day launches is we'd have people run into some of these really crummy issues where their product would be attributed to adults, it'd be de-indexed, it would be like you would run into these scary scenarios on the day of your launch, and because it's only 1 day, of course it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a mess, right? So what happens is we
had people that didn't even have the keyword that they want to launch on in their listing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. I mean, we've seen quite a few scenarios there.
Yeah.
For sure. So 1-day launches makes it sort of a no-fail scenario. They still work exceptionally well. A lot of us as brand owners still run 1-day launches.
Mm-hmm.
We still believe in them wholeheartedly. Again, we kind of put our money where our mouth is with 1-day launches. But it's really the important point of being able to welcome organic sales on the other side of a launch. Yep. If you deploy a lot of the strategies that we've recommended, that could very well be a non-issue for you, and a 1-day launch could be right in the pocket of what makes sense for you. Yep. But if a drip campaign, again, a lot of folks, and I'll own up to it. We've been indoctrinated 7 to 8 days. That's what we have to run. This is what we want to do. And we wanted to give them the control to be able to do that. They still wanted high quality customers. They wanted sales velocity. They believed in our optimized sales, and they wanted to pull a trigger, realize the quick expense. But on the other side of those 7 days, about 3 or 4 days, we usually see
results,
rank impact.
Yep.
So in 2 weeks, if you're ranking, I mean, it's, it really is intended to be that simple. That's really why we brought Last Launch to market.
Yep, absolutely.
So
that's spot on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, cool guys. Well, hopefully that was some really insightful information. I think I know Brennan dropped some really great knowledge bombs. Hopefully you guys took some notes. And I do have to share with you as well. I probably could have mentioned this a little bit earlier on. I have drafted a blog post for you guys that really hits on these points and adds a little bit of color. We went to some really cool depth. And went off on a few areas, which was great for a few tangents. But it also will help you if you've taken notes, you want to refer back to it. It is on the seller.tools blog, and it covers the same topic, how to rank on Amazon in 2018, and some of the key takeaways that you can take and deploy in your business. Yep. So definitely check that out. Feel free to share it. I'd love it if you did. And yeah, it's kind of one of the first long form pieces of content I've really put together here recently. So hopefully you guys enjoy some of the content.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool guys. Let's see if I can find some of your questions. I want to answer those real quick. I know we're running a little bit long, guys, so thanks for hanging in there with us. But I'm going to see if I can get some of the earlier questions. We don't want to get you guys, miss you guys and your awesome feedback questions. What was the reason for going back to do 1-day launch? Okay, so hopefully I hit on that, Mattson. We still love, again, still deploying them in our business, but address making sure that you are expertly optimized, can realize those organic sales. You run exact match on either side of the launch. Do everything that you can to really make sure that launch is bolstered, sending every signal to really give Amazon what it wants.
And it also comes down to it. All of it still works. It really comes down to what levers you have at your disposal. So we have sellers that run amazing PPC campaigns and amazing Facebook campaigns, and then they supplement it with last launches every single day. Mm-hmm. So they want 50 units just stripped out. Just give me 30 days worth. Mm-hmm. Just give it away every single day. That's their business decision because they want that little bit of supplement. If we are your only leverage, then you obviously will need to rely on more units to give away in a short amount of time. So it's really a business decision. If you're getting 0 sales from your PPC, well, your PPC is not helping you, so you're going to need a little bit more lift from last launch. But if you are getting quite a few sales from your PPC, you may need a little bit less in last launch. So it really is based upon your particular item and what resources you have at your disposal.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Seller.tools does not show us index for a main keyword. However, upon checking manually, we are. Can you explain this and what, if anything, needs to be done in this case? Great question. So, my first question would be how checking it manually. Yep. We found that to be unreliable on a consistent basis, and that's actually a big reason why we rolled out Index 2.0. So, we would definitely be glad to take a look at that, Christine, as well. definitely hit up our support. We can delve into that specific case and issue. But that's something that we would definitely want to share, is that manual index check has proven to be unreliable really since what was that, August, I want to say, like that, since we rolled out Index 2.0. And that to a degree was the impetus. We were seeing inconsistencies, and we wanted to make sure that on the user side, you guys were well aware, hey, this is something where you still need visibility, even though running that manual check was not consistent in terms of the results.
And two more points on that. Christine, there is an option in Seller Tools to go and just force that index check.
Yeah.
Within there, just click refresh, and then from that drop down, choose index check. And then one more just thought, just to throw it out there. Obviously I know nothing about your business, but we have seen before in cases where people have the same exact issue. And I think one of the examples was it jewelry box or something like that, or makeup organizer or something? I think it was makeup organizer. The person actually got granted brand registry for the brand name makeup organizer. And so it actually de-indexed everyone for the keyword makeup organizer but them, since they were the only one with that brand. Amazon reversed that, I guess, judgment you call it, that approval, and everyone went back to normal. But it was very alarming to see that it indeed was a master keyword, a high priority keyword, and everyone was de-indexed for that particular keyword. Pretty shocking, but anyway, food for thought.
Cool. Let's see here. Hi guys, can you explain about Amazon recent changes to PPC strategies? I moved my dynamic down. However, my sales got hit now with a higher ACOS. This happened in January. Have you been dabbling a little bit more with the dynamic? Down, up, down? Yeah, I was asking. Yeah. I'm talking to everybody.
You're still reading. I utilize AMS more than I do the Seller Central. But with the brands that I don't have AMS for, and we just have the Seller Central for, I'm a little conflicted on both, and I'll explain my thoughts. In some particular niches where we are one of the few competitors, we notice that bidding more on the detail pages is really advantageous for us in terms of ACOS. And I know for other niches that's the complete opposite. They're seeing a lot more improvement of increasing the percentage base for the headlines rather than the detail page one. So I can't, without knowing your products, I can't really answer the question, but it definitely is split based upon what type of product it is. Some of them we just completely turn off or attempt to turn off the lowest bid possible for the detail page, whereas others were completely going crazy for those detail pages, and then just completely ignoring headlines. So it's really based upon your competitor and or your competition and what they're doing, and the type of product of how many competitors are bidding on those particular ad slots. Now we are in a particular junction right now, which is great, is that since it's a brand new platform, you definitely need to jump into it right now and take advantage of it right now, and tweak and play with it, and definitely download that placement report and take a look at where you're bidding and what your ACOS is for each one of those placements, and then adjust your bids. And you may want to decide to turn one off and leave the other one on, or lower one to, obviously you can't turn it off, but lower to almost nothing, before all the other sellers catch up and learn what to do with it. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Are you able to keep your keyword data? Okay, so yeah, let's answer this one. Are you able to keep your keyword data up to date since Amazon stopped sharing major keyword data points? So again, I'm really proud of the Seller.Tools team again for rolling out the 2 new data points that are Amazon data points. So Amazon source data for TSI Plus and Pulse. That was like a week after the search volume update.
Yep.
I honestly haven't seen anything that comes close to prioritizing and performance level visibility, especially in one dashboard. Yep. So that was huge. We've also corroborated. I know you've given me a hard time for this because I've thrown out like 500,000. We've corroborated a ton of data. The team has just done a great job of taking any other piece of data and information to make sure that our historical data is as accurate as possible. Of course, I love to say it's the strongest. It's my belief in our team and what they can do and knowing what they've done. But what it really boils down to is I have extreme confidence in saying what you can find in seller.tools, you're going to be very hard pressed to match the vastness and the accuracy of that data. I don't know if you would agree. I don't know if I'm alone here, but they've done just an exceptional job of taking what's been presented to us and saying what we have, since we've always updated it daily, it's already been immensely vast.
Yep.
And it extends past a year, and we corroborated other data sources available to us, and it really just emboldened that information. I don't know if you have any additional thoughts.
Yeah,
but it's...
well, I guess I have three. Yes, Amazon has stopped. No one else has access to it because it has stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess as a seller, there's a couple things you can do. The first thing is definitely rely on historical. I mean, if we have the data, as long as it's the keyword that that is kind of known, eye cream or something like that. Like, it's a very good judgment call of where the traffic is. Absolutely. I'm still utilize it. But going back to brand new keywords, which we've never seen before and we don't have data on, that's where TSI is king. And because there could be like booty bands came up right at the tip of when the data went away. So imagine what's going to pop out in January, February, March. And if you rely on just historical data or data that there is none of, right? Mm-hmm. You're never going to know that that keyword has volume. And that's where TSI comes in and says, hey, look, here's a brand new keyword. No one else has the data on. The TSI is a 9, let's just say. This is a major keyword that you need to go after. And so, yes, the search volume will say 0. It will have a blank. But if it's a TSI as a 9, that's coming from Amazon saying, look, there's so much volume here. You need to prioritize this keyword. So I would absolutely, from this point moving forward, is sort by TSI. Because there will be a keyword, tomorrow, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, that you've never seen on your radar before. So, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Great question. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to see if we can quickly run through a few. I know we are already running a little bit long on time. How do we fix yellow pulse, for example? Paulo, if you could check out the blog, Seller.tools blog, I put an article together specifically for this, and hopefully we'll serve kind of as a checklist to make sure you kind of go through each one of those things to positively impact your pulse. Is all are showing red, but we are ranking on these same keywords. I have them in title. What might be the issue?
This is Christine with the non-indexed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm going to go on a limb. Go ahead and open up a support ticket, but I already know I'm assuming it's a parent-child. So if you're not indexed, we absolutely show that your pulse is red. So that's the first thing. If you put a mouse over the red, it will say, hey, you are not indexed for this. Definitely the ones you definitely want to focus on, of course, is the red ones first because you want to get indexed, and then from the yellow ones to turn them to green. But yeah, I think Christine, definitely open up a support ticket and contact us because I want to take a look at your individual account and individual ASINs because I think you have something going on there. So
cool.
Keep going.
Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to scroll. Let's see here.
Questions.
And I want to make sure it's TSI, so Traffic Strength Index Plus. And you can find that through your Seller.tools account, specifically in the Keyword Manager.
Yep.
Let's see here. Where are we located? We're in sunny Orlando, Florida. Not too sunny right now.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Let's answer this one. So, but you can't run a last launch without reviews, or you don't already have high rankings. So, a fairly new product you can't do. So, do you have some thoughts on? Because obviously, when we're really reinforcing the honeymoon period, it's navigating that review capture, right? So, really planning ahead of time to understand how you are going to capture reviews. We're fans of early reviewer program, but I think it still speaks to spelling out your strategy on the other side of becoming live and active.
Mm-hmm. You have to get something together, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just say, well, friends. I have no friends. I have no family. I'm done. I used this example before because I have a buddy who sells very successfully in the electronic space, and he started off just as a normal seller and was kind of struggling, and he went to Reddit, and because he thought about it for a moment, I'm selling gaming equipment, and where do gamers like to hang out? So he went to Reddit, and he just started posting and messaging people, and that's how he created his review list. So when he comes across a brand new product, well, there we go. That's so it just took a little bit of time. So you really have to just think about for a moment, what are you selling? Where are your customers? If you're selling darts, maybe you have to go to the bar where they throw darts. If you're selling, I don't know, golf tees, go to the golf range, get some people's phone numbers, text messages, and text them or something. Just, you have to get that base. And like, it sucks to say, but you can't just say, oh, I have no friends, no family, and therefore I give up. You have to start somewhere, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's people who want your products, like obscure as it is. Go find where those people are, get them on the list. And I get that, Amazon may say that it's a little gray hat, but you need something to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's see. I'm gonna answer 2 more quick questions, you guys. Let's see if I can find. Let's see here. And if this was helpful, please let us know. I'd love to hear. I love that. Cool. Thanks, Danilo, for that. Let's see here. Is there any... Oh, PPC question. My first page and rest of search numbers are great, but product page ads have really bad ACOS and use up the bulk of my budget. Is there any way to control that?
Yeah, with new adjustment. I'm assuming this is inside of Seller Central and not AMS, but if it's in AMS PDA ads, then I would definitely lower my bids on those particular ASINs. But if it's inside Seller Central, then I would lower the bid and percentage base. And like I said before, on some of my products, we completely nix those down to the smallest ad budget and really focus on headline ads. And to give another example of, we are really advocates of AMS and product display ads, which is essentially the same, but of course you can micromanage it. So we do one campaign, one ASIN, one campaign, one ASIN, and that's really where we get to scrutinize every single little click. So Brock, to answer the question, like I would try to get rid of it essentially. Not completely, but just lower it, take the focus off of it. Is what I'm trying to say, and focus on the things that work. If it's sponsored products and headline ads, just focus on those 2 things. Anyway.
Yeah.
If it's underperforming, then shrink down the budget. Because there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway. Yeah. It's tough to not be able to micromanage it.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Great question. All right, guys. Cool. Well, hopefully this again was all very helpful for you. We touched on again what we view to be the most important rank factors coming into 2019. I can almost guarantee those will change over time, but this is really what I feel like you guys would want to know, need to know as you're making decisions, deploying strategies, committing time, energy, resources. And of course, we'd encourage you to take a look at Last Launch, see if that makes sense for you. Right now, we've got something pretty cool going on. We've got mini launches where you can run up to 50 codes for $50. And then we've noticed a lot of people aren't aware you can actually get up to 15% off for last launches and actually earn a free last launch by sharing your 15% off. If that's something that's interesting to you, take a look at your affiliate program in your Seller.tools account, and you'll find the ability to share your last launch unique code. You can create a unique code, share 15%, and then you only have to do that 3 times to get a free last launch. So pretty cool way to get some insane savings. Not very hard to do. You guys know Facebook groups. And keep that in mind for those that are not familiar with us, who have maybe our Seller.tools customers, have come about finding this through other unique ways. Our Facebook group, FBA Kings, we definitely encourage you guys to jump there, get involved, engage. A lot of great and really successful sellers are engaging in that forum, sharing feedback, sharing ideas, and it's a great place to engage with other sellers as well. So cool. With that, guys, I think that really covers it. Really appreciate you joining us live. For those checking it out, jump into FBA Kings. Let's continue the conversation there. And hopefully, again, this was valuable to you as you move forward for a really successful, awesome year in 2019 with your sales on Amazon. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks, guys. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks, guys. Woo!